Here are some more Lincoln Cent variety coins that you can keep an eye out for. We'll start off with a fairly modern variety on a shield penny that you could have in your pocket change right now. This is the 2014 doubled obverse cent. The doubling on this coin can be detected on the letters of trust, liberty, as well as on the date. But the best place to spot the doubling, it is definitely the date, where all of the numbers almost seem as though they were stretched out or elongated. The additional thickness can clearly be seen towards the top and the bottoms of the numbers 2, 0, and the horizontal bar of the number 4 as well. Graded by PCGS as MS66 Red, this variety was sold at auction for the amount of $556. 1942 has a veritable deluge of variety coins to look for if you're searching through or simply collecting Lincoln pennies. One such coin is this doubled obverse type, where there are numerous markers to keep an eye out for. However, the strongest indicator by far is the widespread and the subsequent impressive doubling to be seen on Lincoln's eyelid, where the entire eyelid, and in fact even a portion of the eye itself, is doubled towards the right. This coin, an MS64 Red graded example from PCGS, was sold at auction for the sum of $480. Another spectacular repunched mint mark variety can now be seen here. This coin is actually a triple punched mint mark variety, but the initial depunching that took place towards the south of the primary impression is fairly weak, to the point where you really do need an early die state example to spot it, and this coin is definitely not that. So the best you can do is to spot the still very strong repunching that took place towards the northeast, which is rather impressive all on its own, to be fair. This beautiful little coin was graded as MS66 Red by PCGS, and at auction secured a final price of $504. Next in line is a nice example of what is known as distended hub doubling. Not quite as dramatic as rotated or tilted up doubling, as it mostly takes the form of additional thickness on the letters or numbers on the design. But in this case, it is the numbers of the date that are the best indicators of the doubling. Specifically, the tail of the 9 is especially much wider than it normally should be, and upon closer inspection you'll notice that both of the 4s of 1944 are also similarly affected. This coin was graded by PCGS as MS66 Red, and at auction it raised $516 by final call. Repunched mint marks from the 1980s can be a real challenge for the variety collector to find. This 1987 D over D coin is a fantastic example of this, as it is also one of the nicer varieties for this type. The D mint mark almost looks doubled in a way, with the repunching evident towards both the top and the bottom of the D mint mark. The discoloration that you see towards the southeast of the mint mark has actually nothing to do with the repunching, and it's just a plating or a laminating issue that can be safely ignored in this case. You can even see the same thing happening on the reverse of the coin in places as well. Graded by PCGS as MS67 Red, it was sold at auction for the sum of $528. Over mint mark varieties are always a fantastic find, and this 1951 D over S mint mark variety is a fantastic example of just such, although the auction results for this case may be somewhat misleading in that regard, with a primary D mint mark struck in, or rather struck over, fairly squarely on top of the initial S mint mark. Not too much of the initial S remains. What is left of the S can be seen mostly towards the top left of the D mint mark, with a slight remnant just towards the south as well. This coin was graded by PCGS as a fantastic MS67 Red, and at auction it sold for the price of $528. In early 1960, the US Mint found that the number 0 that was used on the new memorial cent coins was prone to both filling and breakage. So, in an attempt to avoid this problem, they altered the date just so slightly, leading to the creation of what we now know as the small and large date varieties. A side-by-side comparison will reveal the difference in the date used on both types, especially the 0 of the date. This small date variety coin, which is the scarcer of the two, was graded by PCGS as MS67 red, and at auction it managed to raise $552. And because there were two date types for 1960, that makes it a transitional year, with all of the customary shenanigans that come along with that. Luckily enough for coin collectors though, that means the creation of coins like this. The large date over small date double die obverse type proof coin variety. The date is doubled in a spectacular manner, where the small date type was first impressed and then doubled atop of that with a large date type. The letters of Liberty are then also doubled to spectacular effect. The B, E, and R of Liberty in particular tend to stand out in this case. This coin was graded by PCGS as proof 68 red, and when its turn on the auction block came, it sold for $504. When the 1970 small and large date varieties were initially discovered, it caused quite a bit of excitement in the hobby, many people still remembering the 1960 coins. Here we have an example of the proof 1970 S small date coin, which is the rarer of the two. On the small date coin, the tops of the numbers of the date are all at the same height, while on the large date coin, the 7 is a little bit lower than the 9 and the 0, in addition to the 0 of the date just being a different shape altogether. Another way to tell the difference between the two is to check the letters of Liberty, as on the small date coin the letters become less well defined as you move towards the center of the coin when compared to the large date coin. This coin was sold at auction graded by PCGS as proof 68 red deep cameo for the sum of $552. Looking at another proof coin variety, but this time it is the 1972S doubled obverse coin. This one is oftentimes overshadowed by the 1971 double die obverse coin, as they are significantly more pronounced. But here we can definitely detect signs of doubling, mostly in the form of separation lines on the letters on the obverse design. The letters of "In God We Trust" should all display this feature with ample abandon, while the letters of Liberty are also affected, with the L and the B typically being a good indicator of that here. PCGS slapped the coin with a grade of proof 67 red cameo, and at auction it was sold for $552. 1983 was a very good year for variety coins, especially within the Lincoln Cent series. It even has multiple doubled reverse varieties that you can keep an eye out for. This is the FS502 type that lacks the strong doubling on the letters of E pluribus unum that are so characteristic of the FS501 coin. Here though, the letters of United are the best indicators for this variety, both in terms of sheer noticeability and the spread that was achieved when the doubling took place. In addition, the letters of 1 cent are also doubled very nicely, but nowhere near as boldly as the features of United. The coin was sold at auction in a PCGS slab with a grade of MS65 red for the sum of $552. Subscribe to WNN and consider watching the previous Lincoln Cent video I made if you're interested in this kind of thing. For the World Numismatic News, I am Numisman saying thank you for watching, keep collecting, and have a fantastic day.